You ever wonder what's really going on in an animal's head? We're often told it's all just instinct, right? Hardwired from birth. But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's this hidden layer to their lives? A whole world of knowledge, of tradition, of learning that we're only just starting to wrap our heads around. Well, today, that's exactly the world we're going to explore. So, to get into this hidden world, let's kick things off with a puzzle. I'm talking about a real-world conservation mystery that had scientists scratching their heads for years. It's set deep in the rainforest, and it perfectly sets the stage for what we're about to uncover.
I mean, it sounds simple, doesn't it? You raise an animal, keep it safe, and then you just open the cage and let it go back home. Easy. But conservationists will tell you it almost never works that way. In fact, a lot of the time, it fails. So the big question is, why?
Okay, so check this out. Down in Costa Rica, you've got the Macaw Recovery Network. They raise these gorgeous scarlet macaws right from the egg, but when they release them, it's like they're totally lost. They have no idea how to find food, even though it's everywhere. They can't tell a good nesting spot from a terrible one. See, they've got the genes, they've got the perfect habitat, but something crucial, something essential, is just missing. It's the education they should have gotten from their parents. So what is this missing piece? Well, it turns out the answer is hiding in a part of biology that we've pretty much ignored. It's like a whole new dimension that completely changes how we look at, well, everything. Okay, so for decades, whenever scientists talked about biodiversity, they were talking about three things. You had genetic diversity, the variety in the gene pool, then species diversity, all the different animals and plants, and finally, habitat diversity, forests, oceans, all that stuff. And for a long time, that was it. That was the foundation of conservation. But as we saw with those macaws, that's just not the full picture. It's incomplete. There's a fourth level, a hidden one, that finally explains why just having the right DNA in the right place isn't enough. And that missing piece? It's cultural diversity. So, what on earth is animal culture? The simplest way to think about it is this. It's all the stuff that isn't hardwired into their genes. It's the how-to guide for survival that gets passed down from one generation to the next. We're talking skills, traditions, even local dialects. It answers the most important question for any animal out there. How do we make a living right here in this spot? And the key thing to remember? This is all learned. It's not instinct. Okay, so now that we have this key, this idea of animal culture, let's unlock the door. Because once you know what to look for, you start seeing it absolutely everywhere, and in some truly astonishing ways. But you might be thinking, okay, is this just a thing for a few smart animals, like parrots or chimps? Or is this way bigger? Is it something fundamental to, well, the entire animal kingdom? Let me tell you, what researchers are discovering is absolutely mind-blowing. Let's start with language and identity. And we're not just talking about a pretty bird song here. Get this, cod in Europe have different calls, like accents, than cod in America. Sperm whale families have their own unique clicking patterns that basically say, hey, we're the Smiths. Parrots actually give their babies unique calls, which is so much like giving them a name, it's wild. And chickadees, they learn their flock's specific calls so they instantly know who's a friend and who's a stranger. It's this whole hidden world of identity, and it's all learned. And culture is also a literal toolkit for survival. You've got crows in some cities who figured out how to use cars to crack nuts. They drop them in intersections, wait for the red light, and then hop down to get their snack. So clever. Or in Brazil, there are these groups of dolphins who have this long-standing tradition of working with fishermen to catch fish, while other dolphins right nearby have no idea how to do it. These aren't just random behaviors. They're complex, local strategies for making a living. And this next one, this might be one of the most important examples of all, migration. I mean, how does a baby crane know how to fly thousands of miles to the exact same spot every year? It's not instinct. It learns. It follows the elders, the ones who literally have the map memorized. Scientists have a name for this, migration cultures. You see it in bison, in storks, you name it. And if that knowledge isn't passed on, if those teachers are gone, the routes are lost. Forever. Which leads to a really terrifying thought. If all this knowledge is learned, not born, what happens when the teachers disappear? What happens when an entire culture just vanishes? There's a chimpanzee researcher, Kat Hobiter, who put it so perfectly. She said losing an individual animal is a tragedy, of course. But losing a population's unique culture, their collective knowledge, that's a different kind of extinction. And it's permanent. You can't get it back. And this isn't some future threat.
It's happening right now. As we build more and more, we chop up habitats, isolating animal groups. And what researchers are finding in larks and sparrows is that their songs are getting simpler, less complex. Their cultural library is shrinking. They actually call it cultural impoverishment.
And it happens shockingly fast. Get this. A scientist did this experiment where they played recordings of a sparrow's song from 24 years ago, in the exact same spot where it was recorded. The sparrows living there today, they barely even reacted. The response was cut in half. In just a couple of decades, their dialect had changed so much that the old song sounded like a completely foreign language to them. All of this leads to this huge shift in how we have to think about animals. For so long, we've just talked about a species like it's one single thing. But as scientists now realize, you can't talk about the chimpanzee anymore.
Why not? Because different groups of chimpanzees are as culturally different as, say, people from different countries. You have some chimps in West Africa that have this whole stone tool culture for cracking nuts, but then you go to Gombe, and the chimps there have never done that. Instead, they make these little stick daggers to hunt. Every group has its own unique way of doing things, its own traditions. So if you lose one of those groups, you're not just losing numbers. You are erasing an entire unique chimp culture from the face of the earth.
Okay, so let's bring this all the way back to where we started, with those macaws in Costa Rica. Now, with this new lens of animal culture, the puzzle pieces finally start to click into place. You see, the problem wasn't their genetics, it wasn't the forest. The missing piece was their education. Just letting them go was like dropping you in the middle of a foreign country where you don't speak the language, you have no map, and you don't know any of the local customs. They didn't need to just be set free. They needed to be taught how to be free. So now the team there does what they call a slow release. They put out food as a safety net, which gives the young birds time to explore, to learn the area, and, this is the most important part, to learn from each other. It's all about social learning, figuring out who's who, how to get along. It's basically like kids in a schoolyard. And this takes time, a long time. A macaw isn't even considered an adult until it's about 8 years old. And that brings us to the biggest takeaway here. We have to change how we think about conservation. It's not just about protecting genes and habitats anymore. We also have to protect the knowledge. We have to save these incredible living libraries of survival skills. So what are we really losing when a species or a population disappears? It's not just the numbers. It's so much more than that. What's at stake are these entire ancient ways of knowing how to live on this planet. Unique answers to the question of survival that once gone are gone forever. And maybe the best way to sum it all up is with this quote from the ecologist Carl Safina. He said that becoming wild requires an education. It's not something you're just born with. It's something you have to learn.